in my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno. Alrighty then. We have an NBA schedule. Off to the races. We've got the Kings schedule. I have tried my absolute best to stay away from it. I've tried my best not to uncork it because I want to read it and break it down with all of you. Yes, Russ will go down as a Kazi. Kazi, is water wet? Is the sun hot? Russ will go down as a legend, Kazi says. That might be for a guy that does not have electricity and just sits around in candles. That is as dangerous and as safe of a take as you can get right there. What's up, Kings Court? Getting all the info to you here on a Thursday. The schedule was released at about 12 o'clock. So, like, I've been kind of like nipping at it, and I've got to look at it briefly to get it up into the broadcasting program. And there is one thing that jumped off the schedule to me that I will admit I have already put on X because it was, it's brutal. It's really brutal. But I actually think the schedule is okay. I've got to look. We're going to look together. I'm actually going to read the schedule with you. So, and I don't mean that in a demeaning tone. Like, I'm going to let you in on how I look at an NBA schedule and how I gauge an NBA schedule. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Tonight, Grant and I are going to talk about the schedule together. So come on by 7 o'clock. We'll be here on If You Don't Like That. We're going head to head with some football. Raider fan, first look at Mendoza. Are you excited? He's playing, right? He should play. Is he starting? No, I don't know what the Raiders are doing. But the Cardinals and the Raiders tonight at 5. And Niner fan. So Niner fan, what are you going to do? Are all of your players going to be wrapped in bubble wrap tonight? Is Kyle going to only play the unsigned free agents? I'd be so nervous. And it's in Santa Clara. It's in the same parking lot as that, gosh forbidden, disgusting, broken down dumpster fire of a money hole, Great America. Oh, man. It's going to be rough. Appreciate everybody, too, who's listening on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you find your podcasts on the replay. As I said, numbers have been great. So we'll get to all of you in the chat here in a second. Do me a favor. If you want to talk about the schedule, get up in here. Give me a call. You can also put your thoughts in the chat. But I'd like to hear from you today. Perfect day to call. There's going to be a lot of ears that hear this podcast because it's schedule release day. So if you want to be heard, if you want to get your take out there before anybody else's, do it. Do it. So the Niners and the Raiders are in action tonight. Niners game, NFL Network. How is that going to work? They're only allowing 2 hours or allocating 2 hours on NFL Network for the preseason games. Do they go that quick? Did they change the rules? We doing a running clock? Yeah, thank you. Anybody? Hey, can anybody beat Kazi's take? This one's pretty good. Icebox. The sky is blue. I think that's one of the ones that I put out there. I mean, Kazi's take was super, super hot right out of the gate. Russ will go down as a legend. It's funny. I caught the tail end of Grant's show yesterday. Or no, it wasn't the tail end. I think it was the beginning. I was making sure that he got the airplane up in the air. And he said what I said, that I'm not sure that Russ is done. If an opportunity presents itself via injury, he'll stay ready. Russ will stay ready. This was not so much, in my opinion, a Russell Westbrook. The time is right. I just think the opportunities were not there. So if the opportunity is there, and yes, there's reports that the Kings may have had an offer extended to him. I've not been able to substantiate that, but at the very minimum, I think, go out on a limb just using common sense that if there was an offer out there from the Kings, there were boundaries put in place about what playing time and what roles were going to look like compared to last year. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. So if you didn't catch up with us yesterday, or you not caught the episode with Jerry yesterday, you've got to go check it out. It was a great listen. We covered so many things. We talked about the 2000, somehow we got on the 2001, 2002 team, and what it would have meant for Jerry to get a ring with that team. We covered a lot with the Kings in the rotation. Jerry told a story about him lifeguarding and much more. But Jerry got over on us. Again, I am disappointed that I didn't catch this. And quite frankly, I'm a little disappointed that none of you caught this. The week before, it was Family ATM. Look at that. He's putting titles now, and we're missing them. Yesterday, it was Jerry Reynolds, former caddy. All right, Jerry. All right, Jer. He's having fun. He's getting loose. He likes to get a little loose here on the Kings court. He'll be back next Wednesday. Looking forward to that. Like I said, schedule is out. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. I know that you're not going to be able to see this on your phone, so we'll get all zoomed in and go through it together. If you want to talk about Russell Westbrook, we can certainly do that as well. News that he has announced his retirement. If you feel some type of way about it, get up in here, give us a call. Anybody catch the Jaden Daniels stuff going on with LSU? This is really bizarre. It's bizarre not only for a quarterback, but it's incredibly bizarre for a guy like Jaden Daniels, who usually stays pretty above it. Like, he doesn't let the small stuff get to him. He is bent. His family is bent that LSU is going to let somebody wear number 5. Holy crap. Really? They sent a cease and desist letter. Yes, a cease and desist. So if you want to hit that, we can hit it as well. Let's get your comments, and then we'll start talking NBA schedule from the top down. Let's see. Red California. Anybody beating Red California? Red California gets in like way early. What's up, Kings Court? Also says, I think Westbrook should run it back with Jokic in the Nuggets for one more year. I don't think the Nuggets would have Westbrook back. I do not see that happening. Paul does a bear. See, I don't know the end of that one. I should be better about that. Nuggets in the second apron, wishful thinking. Okay, the Nuggets got to get the Peyton Watson stuff taken care of. I'm sure they will, and that will also probably follow with Bruce Brown. But it's funny, you still have some of these restricted free agents that are not coming to terms with their teams. Most notably, that would be Jalen Duren, who, again, I'm not going to rehash. If you're a salesman, I'm not going to do the remember everybody has a hidden sale. I'm not going to do that, but he's not max. He qualifies for max, but he's not max. So he's still hanging out there. What's up, Flores? Hot take. Kings. Dude, I've been saying that for a minute. I've been saying that since you know what? I've been saying that since last season. It's funny because Where I sit at the G1C is literally, if I just look up a little bit, Jerry's banner is directly across from me. And I had been thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, that would be the cherry on top. Number one, that Vivek, that was a Vivek move, which I think we're pretty much there, or at least I am safe in saying I believe that's a Vivek move, bringing Russ in. But if you retire his jersey, oh my gosh. With what happened with Adelman, you got Bibby, who's been, and they haven't even gone to Bibby, right? Because then it's kind of the snowball stuff. But the fact that you don't have Adelman, it would be a very, very unfortunate look for the Kings. I also think Russ probably would not allow it. I think Russ would probably turn that down. You got to get him to sign off on that. And there are reports that he's going to sign one of those one-day contracts that we love so much around here on the Kings court to retire as a Thunder. Or a member of the Thunder. Paul saying hello to everybody. Tristan, clap of the hands. Big time excited for the Raiders. Couple of series for Cousins. Hopefully a quarter and a half for Mendoza. Taking a hard look at the league's worst wide receiver unit. Look for Malik Benson, rookie. Paul, damn, he's got it scouted. Good job, Paul. Yeah, I'm excited to see, and I've not watched. And by the way, I like what the Raiders have kind of done. Have you noticed they're embracing the quote unquote nerdiness around Mendoza and Cousins, but they've also kind of like extended this olive branch like on YouTube, and they're doing a series, and they've done them before in training camp, but it's being done, I think, classier than before. So I see the Raiders trying. The number one, well, in any preseason game, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That's number one. But the second thing that I would be looking forward to the most is, and it's going to be tough to tell in the preseason, but is the NFL going to be too fast for Mendoza? I don't think it will. I mean, he's going to have his rookie times. He's not going to be the guy that you saw in the national championship slinging back shoulder fades with the game on the line, but I think he is going to be a serviceable and really good quarterback. And then Ashton Genty, it's a huge year for him as well too. Russ will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. See now, Tristan, that's a reasonable take. It's an easy take, but it's reasonable. It's not a lazy take. Icebox, candles have a wick. Good job. That's a pretty good one. 3 games against San Antonio in the first 17 games. Not necessarily loving that. Well, Peter, it's one of those things where it depends on what happens. You had a similar situation with the schedule last year with the Lakers. The Kings finished up with the Lakers, I think, by the first week of December. Off the top of my head, I don't have their. Do I have their schedule around? I don't think I have their schedule around right now. No, I do not. So, yeah, it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. Because what if somebody's out for San Antonio? Wemby sprains an ankle. Maybe you don't see San Antonio as many times with Wemby. You see where I'm going with that? But yeah, it's inevitable with these schedules that you're going to have teams doubled up and you're going to see them, at least a couple of them. I think New Orleans is the same way, if I'm not mistaken. It's like New Orleans and Memphis you see a few times. But anyways, we'll get into it in a second. Yo-Yo, been inactive from the chat for a while. Strong stash going, Ryan. What's up, David? Thanks for being here, man. Yeah, I've been trying to change it up. I don't know. The off season is like when you try out different things. Like if you're thinking about, maybe going with like a different look. So, yeah, and then like I'm getting older, I'm getting gray, so I might as well embrace it. The salt and pepper. Yeah. Thank you though. Appreciate it. Of course, listening to episodes after live on Spotify. Appreciate you, brother. Westbrook is changed his name to Coach Cash Consideration, signed Ryno and Sacktown. Peter's becoming a clone. Peter has been like jumping into the Jim Rome realm. He's becoming clonish now.
Ryan and Sacktown, bro, you seem to have a lot of time on your hands. A lot of time on your hands, except it doesn't seem like your content's getting any better. No offense.
Thanks, Jim. You mean Denver and OKC last year, 7 games in the first 15? No, the Lakers too. You had the Lakers a ton. Yeah, welcome David back for sure. David, do. Great to have you back, man. Try to grow a big beard. John. My hair does not grow out straight like yours does, dude. It doesn't. It curls up. So I cannot nor will. Well, I could, but I don't want to. It's too itchy, bro. You grow a beard, John, and then cut it on this show the next time the Kings make the playoffs again. Yes, it makes a difference. Building confidence, start the season. Yeah. So, okay, let's get into the schedule. It's kind of the news of the day. That's what most people want to talk about. I am sure a bunch of my friends who also cover the team have hit you over the head with some different stats and things that have jumped out to them. I have stayed off of X strategically because I have not wanted to see what anybody is saying. So without further ado, let's get into it. The schedule has, as I said, been released. Where is my share screen? It's somewhere. There it is. All right. So the Kings sent us the schedule just a few hours ago. Here it is. You've got the home games in purple. You've got the away games in gray. The season does not start until the 21st. So the first 5 games in October are preseason games. So let's just kind of zoom in on the months here. October, not too bad. You're actually starting off at a reasonable pace. Good job, NBA. So you start with the Clippers, and then you go to Portland. Or excuse me, you start at the Clippers, then you come home for Portland. It seems like the Kings always open at home on a Friday night. It feels like it's been that way for a few seasons now. So just looking at this right now, without even looking at the teams, the one thing that I like in this first month is you don't have any back-to-backs. So, or first half of a month, no back-to-backs. In fact, if I go down to November, your first back-to-back of the season is not until November 20th. So that's really good. You've got to like that. The Kings, so you're Portland at home. You get a day off. Sunday, you have Memphis. So those are 3 reasonable games to start the season off. In fact, I would say those are 3 reasonable games that the Kings, if healthy, should be able to put up a little bit of a fight, which gives you an opportunity to maybe grow some confidence. Then you go on the road. You've got San Antonio, New Orleans, and like I said, Memphis pops up again. So Memphis is as winnable as a basketball game as there is in the Western Conference. In fact, if there is a team in the West that I am going to mark down, or if I'm hammering the over 22.5 wins, and I don't think they're going to win a ton beyond 22.5, but I don't see how this team is going to be as injured as last year. And I don't see how they could win less than what they did last year. With how off-balanced everything was offensively, I don't think it's going to be as constipated this season with Acuff. So Memphis, to me, you've got to check down as wins here. So you get them 2 times. You also have New Orleans on the road. New Orleans is a little bit of a problem. And it's strictly because their length and their athleticism. It doesn't matter like if they're good in the West, they always give the Kings problems. So I don't know. I put them up in the air. San Antonio, probably a loss. Let's be realistic. Then you carry on the road. So you have a 4-game road trip that spans 7 days, basically. And that ends in Dallas on Monday, November 2nd. So as I look at November now and we zoom in there, just okay. So November is going to be the Kings' best home month. This is going to be the most home games the team has in any given month. There will not be another month like this. And I'm looking at the teams and the road games. The Kings only leave the state of California one time. And that's that Dallas game. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 home games in 13 games. So 11 of the 13 games are at home after that Dallas game. The teams, the Lakers, San Antonio. So there's San Antonio again. There is the Lakers for the first time. I think the Lakers game, I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb here because Luka is Luka, but I think the Kings match up well with the Lakers right now. I do. So, again, big thing here, the Kings don't have a back-to-back until November 20th and 21st. Now, that is a situation where you have 3 games in 4 nights. So that will be, to my eye, the first time the Kings are playing 3 and 4. So, okay, we're starting to pick up a little bit. San Antonio is there. So your homestand looks like this: the Lakers, San Antonio, Miami, Orlando. That's a brutal stretch, but you have time off. And what's important to me is, can the Kings build a little momentum to start the season off with the Clippers, Portland, and Memphis? If you build some momentum, this is winnable, okay? I truly think if the Kings are healthy, if the Clippers do not have anything come down with the situation or any suspensions, you probably lose the opener. But I could see you getting Portland. That would be a step up for the Kings if they can get Portland. I think Portland is a step below the Clippers right now, although you could make an argument that they're flipped. But if I look at this, I think you can get Portland. You have to get Memphis. You're not getting San Antonio. New Orleans, you can get. It's going to be tough. And then you get Memphis again. You have time off in between all those. So in your first 6 games, you could go in to November winners of 1, 2, 3, 4 of 6, and maybe have some momentum. And then Dallas, that's going to be a tough one. But I do think, depending on what's going on with Kyrie, it's probably a 65-35, 65 Dallas, 35 for the Kings. And you have to remember, too, we're not looking at the other team's schedules. So I don't know if Dallas is coming off of the second night of or I don't know if it's the second night of a back-to-back. I don't know if it's their 3rd game in 4 nights. So I'm just looking at this from a Kings perspective. So maybe you have some momentum, but you've got a tough stretch of home games. But this is your longest stretch at home, and you only leave the state of California once, and it's at the beginning of the month. So after Monday the 2nd, you are in California the rest of the month. Lakers, San Antonio, Miami, Orlando, tough games. That San Antonio game is an NBA Cup game. Then you've got Portland, which will be an NBA Cup game as well. Oklahoma City, tough. It's a loss. Phoenix, 70-30 loss. Lakers again. Boston, San Antonio again. Golden State, Minnesota, New Orleans. So the significant things here is it's a bunch of home games, but they are good teams. Only a few of these games really feel winnable at this point. So where in the schedule is this going to loosen up? Will the Kings get a run of or a chunk of games against teams that are, closer to where the Kings are at? Will they get a chunk of those at home? So your biggest portion of the home schedule is tough. It's hard, but you're home. From Tuesday the 3rd, you don't leave the state of California, and you have 11 home games in 13 games. Your only travel is a bus ride to Golden State and a 1-hour flight to Los Angeles. So we go to December. December is still kind of, also notable, you have your first back-to-back, the 20th, the 21st, and the first time you play 3 games in 4 nights, which is the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. You have back-to-backs as well on the 29th and the 30th that are home games. Okay, let's get to December. December is going to be a little weird because we don't know what's going to be going on with the NBA Cup. You will probably be seeing some other teams. Man, this schedule there's a lot of home games to begin the season. Let's get to the chat and then we'll come back to the schedule. I want to see what all you were thinking. I don't want to ignore you. I want to get your takes in on here. We might surprise some teams just based on talent alone, especially if Sabonis is still with us. Sabonis is going to be here. He's not going anywhere unless there's a major shakeup in the NBA or somebody really big goes down for a team that values the way that Domas plays. When will rest management start for teams playing the Kings? Good question. I don't know. Beginning of the season, the first month and a half or so really sounds like the scheduling God smiled on us for once. Yeah, I mean, you're home, but you're playing really good teams. That's the thing. You're playing really, really good teams. You guys talking to each other. The Kings with about 30 wins based on healthy starters and Levine contract year. Yeah, 30 is kind of the max. I think I had it at like 31 or 32 is my max that they might be able to get. How many back-to-backs are there? I'll tell you in a second, Tristan, as we keep rolling through this thing. Okay, let's go to December. Phoenix on Wednesday on the road. So that is actually your second. That's going to be your second span or stretch of 3 games in 4 nights. 2 will be at home, 1 will be on the road. Phoenix isn't a bad travel, but Phoenix likes to play fast. That very well could be a schedule loss for the Kings. Then NBA Cup. You'll have a couple of games here because I do not think the Kings will be making the NBA Cup finals. I don't see that in the cards for Sacktown. New Orleans again. Look at this. So you're done. I think you're done with New Orleans by December. Am I wrong? Let's see. I don't think I am. I think you are done with New Orleans by December. Yeah, you are. That's 4 times. You've got them on the 29th. You've got them on the 30th. You've got them on the 13th and the 18th. So, okay, that's not, you know what? I don't mind that. If there's only a couple teams that are projected to be around the Kings in the West, I don't mind having 4 with New Orleans this early. That might bump your win total a little bit. Winnable games for the Kings. So, okay, schedule's kind of cool now. That is that last New Orleans game on the 18th of December. That will start a stretch of 3 games in 4 nights on the road. In fact, this is going to be a East Coast road trip. You're going OKC to New Orleans to Miami to Orlando. I mean, I guess you could have made it a little easier, but that's what it is. So you're on a 4-game roadie. Then you get your typical home stretch around Christmas. You'll have 4 games to finish off the year. Dallas at home 2 days before Christmas. The 27th, Utah. It's a 3:00 game. The Kings do not usually play well in those 3:00 games, but maybe they'll be ready to go that night. And here's going to be one of your marquee games right there. That is a marquee game. That might be the hottest ticket on the schedule. And it's 1, because it's Philly, and 2, because it's Christmas time. It's right around New Year's. All the college kids are in town. All the schools are out of school. So there's your big money game right there. If you want to, and you know what? If I were you, I would not be buying that ticket until closer to that game, because you don't know who's going to be injured. Right now, I will go on the record and say on August 13th, 2026, Joel Embiid will not play in that game. I think it's a pretty safe bet. I'm going to say no Joel Embiid in that game. 31st, you've got another 3:00 game because of New Year's. Okay. And remember, you're going to have bowl games going on too, for college football. Brooklyn, not bad. All right. Now, this is the month that I looked at, and this is where the rubber meets the road for the Kings. It's the month of January. Starting on Saturday the 2nd, the Kings play, hear me out here, they play 12 games, excuse me, in 19 nights. What that equates to is the Kings have 4 stretches of 3 games in 4 nights in a row. That's brutal. This is where you talk about hitting that wall for the rookies, and it's not against easy teams. So you're back-to-back on the road, Phoenix and Oklahoma City. You get a day off, and Detroit's waiting for you here in Sacktown. You get a day off, then you get Chicago and New York back-to-back. You get a day off, then you get Charlotte here in Sacramento. You get a day off, and then you're at Golden State. Day off, Clippers here in Sacktown. Back-to-back travel to Portland. That's going to be a sketch. The Kings will lose that game on the 15th. Day off, then you're in Utah. Day off, and then you're back-to-back LA and Milwaukee. In fact, you see the Lakers twice that week. So from Saturday the 2nd to Wednesday the 20th, the Kings play 12 games in 19 nights against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playoff teams. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's brutal. I don't know the last time I have seen a stretch, four stretches in a row of 3 games in 4 nights that are scattered. Usually you see that it might be home heavy with a light travel. That is tough. Phoenix, OKC back-to-back, day off. Detroit's at home. Chicago, New York, day off. Charlotte at home. That is one where maybe the Kings can get 2 of those 3. Golden State, Golden State's going to be a little bit of a coin flip this year, the way their roster is. LA, could be up in the air at that point. Maybe Kawhi's suspended. Portland again. Yeah. So for me, this is the most significant, besides what happens in November with the Kings only leaving California one time. This is significant. It is the most significant thing I've seen on the schedule so far. 12 games, 19 nights, 4 stretches in a row of 3 games and 4 nights. That will test the legs of a young team. And maybe that is where where we've been questioning, well, how is Neek and DeAndre Hunter going to get onto the floor together? How much are we going to see Emmanuel Sharp, etc.? Maybe this is where Doug relies a little bit more on depth, and certainly this is under the assumption that the team is healthy. But where last year it was the month of November that was Murderer's Row, the mix of who you're playing with how often you are playing, this is Murderer's Row for the Kings. You're also on the East Coast again, so that's going to be the second time, I believe, at the end of the month. So you're at LA. It's pretty good. And then you roll in. So after 12 games in 19 nights, you get a day off, and then you roll into a road trip that's going to take you from Los Angeles all the way to Philly, Detroit, Washington, Denver. So yeah, you've got a 5-game stretch. The Kings will be out of town for over a week after that stretch. So January is going to be where this season is made or broken. And I do think, again, just looking at it, first time digesting it, this is where you've got to get the momentum right here. You've got to get some momentum in November. And you can. I mean, there's losses there. But if I'm looking, okay, if things break right, okay, I'm going to say you lose at LA. But the Kings have surprised us on opening night, the 21st. I think you win your first home game against Portland. So there's 1. I think you win against Memphis. 2. San Antonio, no. New Orleans, you probably lose. Memphis, you're going to win. Dallas, I don't know. But then after that Dallas game, you don't leave the state of California for the entire month of November. So you've got to get some wins under your belt. You've got to beat a few teams that you should not beat, and you've got to beat the teams that you need to beat. But yeah, if the Kings get to December and, guys are injured, things aren't firing, this is the stretch that could very well define where that line could be. And I don't want to put Doug Christie's job on the line, but if Doug can't get through this January stretch without some wins under his belt in November, it's going to be tough to bounce back from. And I'm not even talking about playoffs. I'm just talking about getting over that 22.5 win mark and trying to stay out of the relegation zone. But damn, January, man. Whoever scheduled January for the Kings, they must really not like them. All right, let's get to some of your comments as we go through the schedule. Don't forget, Grant will be back tonight at 7. I'll join him. We will get his thoughts on the schedule as well. Let's get to your thoughts. Kings have a shot to be relevant in the first 15 or 20 games. Yeah, they do. But hey, and you know what? For as injured as the Kings were last year, they still caught. There's been like this 2.5 year, I would even say 3-year span where they have gotten so lucky with other teams being injured. They just didn't take advantage of it last season. So this is the opposite. of last season. It's not a hard start. You've got the opposite. They gave you a brutal November last year. The teams you play are difficult, but you're here. You're in California from the 3rd all the way until the end of the month. And it's the most home games that I guarantee you will not have a month with more home games than that. 11 home games in 13 games. You're not going to have more than that. All right. To all of you, I need to shut up and listen to you. Yeah, Nevermind was more or less the first 2 to 3 weeks that are favorable. Yeah. Vacaville Richie, is the show starting at 3 now? Can't wait for basketball. Yeah, dude, Telly, show's been going on at 3 since we left Fox. So yeah, every day, Monday through Friday, we are here. LA and Milwaukee back to back at home is weird. Yes, it is. I would agree. Okay, let me look at that. LA and Milwaukee. Which month is that? Going down to December. Must be up here in January. LA, Milwaukee. I'll find it in a second. All right. Historically, the Kings do well on early games, but hey, we are a young team. It's the thing. Not a ton of pressure. What's up, Beach? Hope you're having a good day. Bella Fire. 2 national TV games. Yes. Or Hella Fire, excuse me. Yeah, you have 2. One is NBC. One is Amazon Prime. In fact, let me just give you what the Kings gave us. I'm not going to act like it's my IP because it is not. So the Kings, here's what they put as the 26-27 regular season schedule facts. So some of you are asking about this. Let's go to it really quick. From the press release, let me zoom in for you. All right. Schedule breakdown by month. October, 2 home, 4 away, 6 total. And I'm not going to go through all that. All right. By day, the schedule breaks down as follows. We don't need the days. The Kings' longest homestand features 7 games in 15 days. Wednesday, November 4th through Wednesday, November 18th, hosting the Lakers. November 4th, San Antonio. Okay, so that's the longest homestand. That's the one where there is 11 home games in 13 games. The Kings' 2 longest road trips feature 5 games each. The first runs from January 22nd to 31st against the Lakers. Okay, so we just hit that one. And Detroit, the second takes place March 16th through the 22nd. So those are 2 East Coast road trips. I wonder if the Kings are going on the East. I bet you they're sending them to the East again. All right, Sacramento has 2 games that will be aired on national TV, including one on Peacock, or one on NBC, and one on Peacock. So one is away. Okay, they're both away. All NBC games are simulcast on Peacock, while Peacock games are simulcast on NBCSN. Of the teams, Tristan, you were asking this, of the team's 14 back-to-back sets, 4 are home, 8 are away. 1 is home away, and 1 is away home. Okay. Sacramento's 41-game home schedule features 19 weekend contests at Golden One Center, 5 games on Fridays, 4 on Saturdays, and 10 on Sundays. The Kings will open the season against the Lakers for the 6th time in franchise history. The Clippers Sacramento is 2-3 in season openers against the Clippers, including 0-1 on the road. The Kings last opened the season against the Clippers on October 28th, 2015 at home. The Kings have a 19-22 record in season openers during the Sacramento era. And here's your NBA Cup group play games, 2 at home, 2 on the road. Both on the road are here in California, so that's not bad. But the one that is really difficult is the Spurs in November. So those are the notes from the Kings. We'll get back to this really quick after we get to your comments. So if you're just joining us, thanks for being here. Kings Court, this is the first time I have really dug in to the schedule. And the biggest takeaway for me is it's an easier November. That's your biggest stretch at home. You are playing some good teams, but you're catching them early. But January, man, that is where the rubber hits the road. 12 games in 19 nights, beginning Saturday, January 2nd, ending on January 20th at home against Milwaukee. You're right. That's the back-to-back you were talking about. LA, Milwaukee at home. That is a weird one. That probably means that LA is playing the night before somewhere, and Milwaukee will be waiting in Sacramento that night while the Kings play the Lakers. That's what that means. But back to January, you have, I can't remember the last time I've seen this, and I'm surprised the Kings didn't point it out. You have 4 stretches of 3 games in 4 nights in a row during that 12 games in 19 days stretch. Brutal. All right, let's get to February in a second after we get to some of your comments, and I take a breath, get a sip of soda water in me, starting to get a little stuffed up. Season is gosh, I'm already allergic to the damn Kings schedule. What's going on? That's a lot of L's. What did I miss off the clock? We're going over the schedule, Patrick, for the first time. February over soup. January is brutal, man. You come, and you know what? You come off that 12 games in 19 days where you have the 4 stretches of 3 games in 4 nights in a row. You hit an East Coast road trip right after that. You get a day off. You've got the Lakers on the road. Then you're at Denver. You're at Philly. You're at Washington. And you're at Detroit. I mean, brutal. It's January to me is a bigger takeaway than November. The optimism is going to be pointed at November. The pessimism is going to be pointed at January. Even if the Kings were a really good team, like if this was Oklahoma City's schedule, I'd be like, damn, still like that is a lot of basketball. That is a ton of basketball in 1 month. And it's right in that part of the season where you're like hoping, like you're waiting for the All-Star break. It's also right around when you're going to probably have the trade deadline. You're going to have the All-Star game. Like I said, in February, November, Kings better get some wins under their belts. Playoffs, laugh out loud, 21 wins. Dude, pick a side, bro. Pick a side. Are you going under 22 or over 22? Come on. Ryan, are you certain Doug will even make it to January? Yes. Well, I can't say I'm certain because there's only one guy that is certain, and it's that guy. But I think Doug makes it there. Jerry said it yesterday when we were talking about Russ, and I appreciate Jerry's answer. His transparency on it. He didn't duck it because it wasn't an easy question. I asked him, I said, okay, if you're Doug, are you exhaling right now since Russ is retired? And he's like, yeah, probably. Because coaching this team and getting Russ, if there was an offer for Russ and it was for a smaller role, Jerry said it perfectly. You can tell Russ, like, hey, we're only going to need you to play 10 minutes a night, or we're only going to play you 10 minutes a night. What do you think he's going to do during those 10 minutes? He's going to go Russ. Russ only knows one way, and it's just straight ahead, reckless abandon. And it's a blessing and it's a curse for a player. So I think this is much more conducive to Doug being able to get this ball to spread around, because this team, hear me now, hear me straight up when I tell you this. I'm going to look you right in the eyes. This basketball team is not as bad as everybody thinks when the ball moves. When the ball moves, the team gets out in transition, they throw the ball ahead, they get good looks from the three-point line, and they knock them down. Without Russell Westbrook, the ball is going to move more. So that's why I think it's important to get a backup point guard that's a veteran. You know, I'm going to straight up say it. I was the first one to put Victor Oladipo out there here in Sacramento. I think Victor Oladipo, if the physical is there and everything works out, he is a perfect fit, because he is scratching and clawing just for an opportunity. He's a guy that's going to do whatever you ask him to do. He's been an all defensive player in the past, and yes, he's probably lost a step or two. He's not going to be Oladipo from his all-star years, but he's also a guy that can score the basketball when you need him to, or at least in the past when he was at his height, he could score. He was the guy for many teams. And so his size, I think, makes a lot of sense as well. I think he's going to be the guy. He should be the guy. He would be the guy that I would bring in as the backup point guard. And I think that does a lot to help this team if he can stay healthy too, obviously. The sooner the jock sniffer sells the team, the earlier we get Christmas jerseys. Dude, he ain't selling the team. Great question, John. What was John's question? Is it a great question, John, to the judges? November, I said 3. Doug will be gone by All-Star break. I don't think so. I don't. LA, then Milwaukee, we hit that. BJ, okay, you guys are all talking to each other. See, why do we even check the chat? You guys just talk to each other. It's all good. January. Dude, why are you all putting dates on Doug's job? Come on. You can't see my eyes? My camera's like right there. Am I not looking at you? Tri-tip. There you go. All right, let's get back to the schedule. We're all caught up on the chat. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Don't forget, you got NFL action tonight. Looking forward to seeing some football. Grant and I will be talking schedule tonight. We are at February with the NBA schedule, and we are pretty if you're looking at that, again, you're looking at January, this is where we're at. That's what January is going to be. Brutal. All right. Back to the schedule. We're almost there. Nope. We need the bigger schedule. You guys can't see that, and gals can't see that. Nope, that's Jaden Daniels. Where is my schedule? There is my schedule. All right. Let's look at February. That's where we're at. Okay, so you come off that road trip. You get a couple of days off. Minnesota, Phoenix at home. Okay. Got a day off there between those. But then you go back to back, Phoenix, Houston, and then you hit the road. Okay. Then you go Milwaukee, Houston, Indiana, Atlanta. So that's your third trip. Hold on. Let me count. I want to make sure I get this right. So you don't have any there. You don't have any there. 1, 2. Okay. So by February, you have now made 3 trips to the Eastern time zone. What is with the schedule makers and the Kings on the East? That's 3 trips to the Eastern time zone by February. Make it 4 trips. All-Star break, Cleveland, Memphis, Charlotte. So you have 4 separate trips. Brutal. So you have a stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 1 home game the 17th. Then you have the All-Star break. Damn. You're on the East. You come home to play 1 game, and then you go back out onto the East Coast. What is with that? All right, March. Home games. Okay. It's a good chunk. It's only 5, but it's a week and a half at home. So Washington, OKC, Clippers, Denver, Golden State, day off. No back-to-backs. That's good. Day off, Utah. Day off, Cleveland. And then you're on the East again for your biggest East Coast trip. Wow. Boston, New York, Toronto, Brooklyn, Chicago. That is a brutal back-to-back and a brutal 3 games in 4 nights. Oh, listen to this road trip. Boston and New York back-to-back. Day off, Toronto. And then you get 1 day off and you go Brooklyn to Chicago back-to-back. So you have that same thing that kind of happens in January, but it's on the road. You've got 3 games in 4 nights, 2 times in a row. And then you return home and only have 1 day off? Damn. All right, January. All right, second half of the schedule is brutal. Brutal. That's your 4th trip to the Eastern. Am I right when I say that? That's your 4th trip to the Eastern time zone? You don't have any there. You don't have any there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That is your 4th trip to the East. Oh, man. Boston, New York, back-to-back. Feels like the Kings had that last season at some point. Day off, Toronto. Day off, Brooklyn to Chicago. Brooklyn, listen to this. Brooklyn to Chicago. So you're going from the East to, and I know it's not as big of a deal. Well, no. Yeah, you're losing time. So it is a bigger deal. So you're going from Brooklyn to Chicago. What's that flight, Peter? Brooklyn to Chicago flight time. 2 hours, 15 minutes to 3 hours. So, okay. That's like that's like a back-to-back when you play Denver. That is a crappy thing. And what's worse than that is a day off and you're playing Atlanta at home. Damn. So you are going in the span of 4 days. You're playing 3 games in 4 nights. You're playing in the East, the Central, and then the West time zones. That is nasty. Damn. I didn't think they would send him to the East this many times. This is at least one more time than last season. One, two, three, 4, and then they kick you in the nuts for a 5th time in March. Boston, New York, back-to-back. New York to Toronto, day off. Day off. Brooklyn to Chicago, day off. Home Atlanta. 5 East Coast trips, culminating in your longest East Coast trip in March of 5 games in a row, in which you go on the 21st, you're playing in the Eastern time zone. The 22nd, you're playing in the Central time zone. You get to fly home. And then on the 24th, you are playing in the Western time zone. Damn, man. That's a shot to the package right there. I'm sorry. I don't know how else you put that, man. Whew. I mean, that's not even just the Kings. Any team, that's a stretch. And you know what sucks about it, if I'm being quite honest? What sucks about it is Brooklyn and Chicago are 2 games where it's like, you know what? I think those are 2 of those games that the Kings should be able to win, right? That's why it's a shot in the package. Because they're back to back. East to Central. Am I changing my tune about 22 and a half? I don't think I am, but I think we're all starting to get the picture. The Kings are going to have the ability to get a few wins early in the season. December, they've got to surprise a few people. Quite frankly, if you can surprise, or excuse me, November, you need to surprise a few people. Their home games, Sacramento Kings fans, like Kings fans, come out in November and get loud for this team. You get rest, you're spaced out for the most part. Your first back-to-back isn't until November 20th and 21st. It's also your first stretch of 3 games in 4 nights. But you only leave the state of California one time. So yeah, it's got to be, the Kings got to get it done in October, November, December. You know, there's opportunities here. There's opportunities. For me, the Pelicans, you've got to go 3 or 4 with the Pelicans. You've got to win 3 or 4 games, and you're done with them by the 18th of December. So you see San Antonio a lot early. Maybe you get a break. You can bet, if available, they're not going to do any rest management for the November 6th game because it's an NBA Cup game. They're going to want to get back there and win that. Hey, man, it's the left and it's the right. The Kings need to do work on the left, and they need to tread water on the right. That's what this is. Man, that is just insane. 5 trips to the Eastern time zone. You finish the season 4 on the road, 2 at home. Final game of the season, Clippers on the road. Final game of the season at home is the 9th of April against Dallas. Get your last dose of San Antonio on the 6th. Thoughts? React to me. I'm giving you my reaction. Adam. Whew. Thanks for the memories, man.
Memories bring back your.
That is brutal. I don't know, man. For those listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever else BJ says, because it seems like a setup, any coach by All-Star break would be looking over his shoulder. It's not just about Doug. This is bigger than him. The league hates the jock sniffer. Yeah, look, I don't think the league hates him. It's not like you hear other owners putting him down. Let's check the schedule. Wait until you get a load of us when we're disconnected. Yeah, disconnected. I know. Discord, disconnected, whatever we want to call it, BJ. Right. Here's the problem. People are going to be like, disconnected. Like, what are you talking about, man? Yeah. $20 a month. Disconnected. It's not actually $20 a month, but it's $20 for the season. And a t-shirt. Wow. You know what I feel like?
We just need to be methodical by stacking or playing the right way, possession.
East Coast after East Coast trip 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 after East Coast trip. That's what I feel like right now. Hey, how many of you could say East Coast that many times in a row? That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Dang, man. Tristan, bro, he hate me. You know what? Somebody get a Kings jersey that has "he hate me" on the back. I might wear that. That might be up there with cash considerations. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Good point. We'll let Jerry take care of that from now on. Man. Well said.
That's a great
question. Thank you.
Dude. Jerry, man. What's on the schedule?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Jerry, where did the Kings start the season?
Los Angeles.
Nice. What is it again, Jerry?
Los Angeles.
You know, the good news is we're going to have more Jerry Jones here in the coming days. I think Tuesday he'll do a hit with what is the radio station? 105.3, I believe, in Dallas. Holy moly. I'm just like digesting this. Normally I would do this on my own. Like I would be thinking about it, kicking it around in my head, really going over the
Los Angeles
game. And I'm doing it here live with you. I can't believe they are going
It is no
to
my
the
schedule.
East. Oh yeah, it is. 5 of
It
them.
is no my schedule.
5 East Coast trips is on your schedule. Damn. Here, I would probably tell you, and you're going to start to see these strength of schedule things come out. And strength of schedule is kind of tough to do because you're going off of predictions on how good teams are going to be this season. I don't know that another team has a harder back end. It's harder second half of the season than the Kings. It's not even the second half of the season. It's the tale of 2 seasons. I mean, the Kings. Here's the good thing. Usually they're pretty good on the road. They've been better on the road than they are at home, usually. But, oh, man. To start that in January the way you do, they had the hardest strength of schedule. I think it was like it was close to December last season. Find me a harder schedule than January through March for the Kings. Your homestand, Washington, OKC, the Clippers, Denver, and Golden State. It's not exactly a walk in the park. You got to take care of business in the first couple of months. That's what you've got to do. Wow. That is it's a heck of a schedule there. All right, disconnect. Get to the rest of your comments. Just like last year, we get to breathe a little when the games don't matter. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this team rises to that level. I do, for the team and all of you. It's going to be a very long season if the Kings cannot put some wins together by the end of November. Grant's going to come on tonight and say the season's going to be over by November. Because he's going to think they're not going to win that many games. Watch. I really dislike that some of your winnable games the second half of the season are set up as schedule losses. March 27th, Brooklyn. That would be one where I'm like, all right, Kings can win that game. Chicago, okay, I think the Kings can win that game. but it's a back-to-back. And earlier in that trip, you had Boston and New York back-to-back. Toronto's a good team. You're just going to want to get home at that point. The Chicago game's a schedule loss. Oh, and by the way, you're going east. You play in the east one night. You play in the central the next night. You fly home. And the next day, you're playing in the west. That is very, very difficult for these guys. Very difficult. On your longest East Coast road trip of the season. To have a game right after that with Atlanta. Brutal. Those young legs are going to get tested. At this point, Doug and his coaches are praying to the basketball gods for injuries on the other side. Sure. Well, no. Nobody's praying for injuries. You're hoping to get some breaks, not literally. You know what I mean? So you're praying for injuries. It's bad juju. You don't want these guys. It's a big brotherhood. Now, like if this is the 70s, yeah, they probably prayed for injuries. But these guys, it's a big love fest now in the NBA. Anything else from any of you? I mean, I think I've really kind of picked this thing apart as much as I can right now without like telling you, oh, you know, you're going to play this team this many times in this stretch. See San Antonio a couple times. New Orleans is the team that you wrap up your series with the quickest, which again, the Kings better take care of business in those games. Damn. Yeah. You've got to be healthy. They cannot have a training camp. They cannot have a preseason like last season. They've got to hit this thing healthy, and they've got to hit it out of the gate. You got to hope that this team gets some early momentum and they find some like belief, like, yo, like people are writing us off. Screw that. Let's show them. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've seen a schedule where a team does not leave their home state more than once in a month. Or less than once. That's insane. Whew. Gut feeling. This does not bode well for Murray and Sabonis. The other guys have the excuse of being newbies. See, I'm going to take the opposite approach. And I'm going to tell you those are fresh legs for the most part. Keegan barely played last season. Domas, same thing. Now, Domas just got back on the court about a month ago, but yeah, those guys should be fresh. I think it's going to be a good thing. Should have fresh legs. Brutal. So there's some good stuff and some really brutal stuff. Grant and I will talk about it tonight. 5 trips to the East Coast. It's a lot. That is a lot. Damn. 22.5. You going over or you going under? I really might have to rethink this now. We'll be back 7:00 tonight. Don't forget Raiders playing tonight. Niners playing tonight, an hour apart. The Raiders start at 5 and the Niners start at 6. I need to walk something back, by the way. I got to walk something back. I was on with Grant and he asked me about the situation in Buffalo with Highmark Stadium and some of the seats being obstructed, or at least the views being obstructed. I did not have the full story behind that. I actually saw a report from one of the local news stations when they sent out their, like ask whoever person to investigate. And yeah, not good for a couple of areas. Mostly, most of the areas are the upper deck that are affected, but it's any of the first row seats in the upper deck if you're by the stairs. Whoever designed the stadium designed it very poorly. I did not realize. I thought the picture was taken standing up. No, it was taken sitting down. Not only are you going to have an endless flow of people walking past you, blocking your view, but you are looking through a glass, like a railing. So when it gets cold, it's going to fog up. You're not going to be able to see the field. But I will say this. I do find this ironic. In fact, you know what? I might even, what doesn't make sense to me if John Finch is still here?
That don't make no sense.
What doesn't make sense to me is this guy that is moaning and complaining, this Bills fan. And I don't like going in on Bills fan because I like Bills fan. I think the Bills fans have gone through a very similar thing that the Kings fans have gone through. I think that in some way, both franchises
Let me finish. I
are
was gonna
cursed.
say, you are cursed.
So, anyways, this guy's sitting there talking to the reporter in all his Bills gear, and he's taking the reporter up, or he's showing him the pictures of where he was sitting. And it was like, the Bills need to do something about this. The Bills need to do something about this. And so, like, there's this, like, big push where the reporter is calling the Bills and everything. And then you get to the end of the story where the reporter is back in studio and being asked questions by the news anchor. And the side note to the story, and this guy was bent. Like, this guy was talking about, man, I paid for a PSL, I spent this much money. I think it was $6,000 on these 4 tickets. And you get into the studio and the reporter goes, oh, well, here's the thing. The fan that we talked to, he actually has seats down low. He's got 2 different sets of 4 tickets down low. So, the seats that he's going to be sitting in won't be obstructed, but the ones that he bought to sell will be obstructed. And I'm thinking, you know what? Is that kind of karma? I'm a big karma believer, man. You know what? If you grind your butt off to get your Bills season tickets, and the Bills are good right now. Like, arguably last year should have been their Super Bowl year. Like, they're at that precipice that the Kings were kind of at from 2000 to 2004. Okay? And it's like, I've got to be a part of it. Like, it's expensive, but I'm going to do it. And that's what he's selling during this story. Like, he's selling it hard. And, like, he's just, like, beside himself. Like, if that were the only tickets he had, and the only tickets that he has that he really can't afford, but he also can't afford to not be a part of those games, then yeah, man, like, I get it. Go all in, man. I'd be talking to the news too. But homie, you're trying to run a business on other fans. And you're acting, I am so glad that the freaking reporter had the integrity to sit there and say, oh, he actually, he has tickets down. You know what? Hold on. Can we get this on here? Let me see if I can get this story on here. I was just like, man, you'll see what I'm saying. If I can get this on here, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. Like, you're feeling for this guy. You're feeling for this guy. Damn, man. Like, I can't imagine. Like, what are the Bills going to do to make it right? And then you find out that, oh, no. He's like sitting field level. His seats are unobstructed. It's really no big deal. Like, come on, man. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, I've got to redo something so you'll be able to hear it. Let me get this on here. I don't care if we get a violation. It's the news. Should not be giving me a violation for the news, and it's worth it. Maybe I'm overreacting. You can tell me I'm overreacting if that's the case. I don't think I am. Like, this guy just, I'm like, come on, dude. All right. Entire screen. We'll turn on the sound. Perfect. All right, here we go.
But first, new today, Buffalo Bills are looking into complaints about some of the seats at the new Highmark Stadium, including this one.
Where's the sound? Should have sound. 1 second. Let's try this again. All right, hopefully it has sound.
But first, new today, Buffalo Bills are looking into complaints about some of the seats at the new Highmark Stadium, including this one.
So the biggest thing is I feel like I was...
That's weird. Could you guys hear that? I could not hear that. All right, we'll go to plan B. We'll go here. You just won't be able to see it. So this is that Bills fan, okay? Let me see if I can match the sound up with kind of where we're at.
But first, new today, Buffalo Bills are looking into complaints about some of the seats at the new Highmark Stadium, including this one.
Okay,
So the biggest thing is...
All right, I think we're pretty close to the sound. All right, here we go. Running this off of 2 devices.
I was misled. I feel like I was misled.
Okay, this is seat 1, row 1 in the upper deck. But it's right behind a glass wall and railing that protects people who are walking up the stairs. Chief Investigative Reporter Berkeley Breen spoke with the ticket holder in Henrietta today, and as he just said there, he is really feeling duped.
He is. Yeah, and he says when the Bills sold him these seats, first row, upper deck, he says there was no mention of any obstructed view. Now, we asked the people to send us photos from their seats from Saturday's practice. Dozens of people posted on our Facebook page and loved their view. But then there were ones like this. The Bills say they're taking the next month to look at it.
Yeah.
Jared Carlson showed video of his view.
So this is the video from the seats.
He was standing up when he shot this. He was standing up when he shot this. And it still shows the glass wall and railing cutting through the field. This is the view sitting down.
And then on the top of the glass, there's a shiny silver trim that goes around the top. That structure view also.
Take me back to that moment when you walk into the stadium and you see what's in front of you. Your reaction was.
A few words that probably shouldn't be aired on TV, but I was not too happy, especially after the amount of money we spent.
6,000 for 4 seats. 6,000 for 4 seats.
Oh,
in
Tristan,
row 1.
can you hear
the
it?
Bills told our affiliate in Buffalo.
Oh, you got double, so you can hear the other one. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I can't hear it. My bad. Here we go. I guess I just can't hear it.
But
Here
first, new today, Buffalo Bills are looking into complaints about some of the seats at the new Highmark Stadium, including this one.
So the biggest thing is I feel like I was misled.
Okay, this is seat 1, row 1 in the upper deck. Now, but it's right behind a glass wall and railing that protects people who are walking up the stairs. Chief investigative reporter Berkeley Breen spoke with the ticket holder in Henrietta today, and as he just sat there, he is really feeling duped.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says when the Bills sold him these seats, first row, upper deck, he says there was no mention of any obstructed view. Now, we asked people to send us photos from their seats from Saturday's practice. Dozens of people posted on our Facebook page and loved their view, but then there were ones like this, and the Bills say they're taking the next month to look at it.
Yeah.
Jared Carlson showed video of his view.
So this is the video from the seats.
He was standing up when he shot this, and it still shows the glass wall and railing cutting through the field. This is the view sitting down.
And then on the top of the glass, there's a shiny silver trim that goes around the top that obstructs your view also.
Take me back to that moment when you walk into the stadium and you see what's in front of you. Your reaction was?
A few words that probably shouldn't be aired on TV, but I was not too happy, especially after the amount of money we spent. I mean,
$6,000 for 4 seats in row 1. The Bills told our affiliate in Buffalo it's addressing internal and external feedback before the season opener. Now, a lot of fans liked their view. Jason Cooper shared the virtual image when he bought his tickets and the real view Saturday. This image by the Associated Press is getting a lot of attention. The press box blocks the far end zone. The Bills told the AP the seats in the last row will not be sold for football. This is section 417. And today, we were able to buy the first 2 seats in the second to last row, $250, and the view appears to be the same.
What does glass do when it freezes? You can't see through it. So that's
do you think the Bills are going to make changes based on this kind of reaction?
I just don't know how, based on how it would work in safety factors, how you could even have it positioned any differently.
Now, Jared has those seats for sale on Ticketmaster for every game in the season. He's got 2 other sets of season tickets down near the field. Those are the seats he's going to use. Deanna, I spent the last hour on the phone with the Bills. So they're going to look into those seats that we found up in section 417. There's 2 seats in the second to last row, 4 actually, that you can buy. This issue with the glass and the railing seems to be exclusive to the upper deck and the first row of the upper deck because it's just the way they designed the stairs.
I can see why he was a little disappointed. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, the Bills have about 6 weeks to figure all these issues out. The home opener is Thursday, September 17th. But first, new today, Buffalo Bills are looking into complaints.
Dude's a fraud, man. I'm sorry.
About some of the seats.
You can't do that. What's up, Ty? You can't do that. You cannot do that, man. Oops. I'm going to get in trouble for that. Let's get that up. There we go. You can't do that. I'm sorry. Fraud. Come on. It's karma, man. What are the Bills going to say? Oh, you're trying to work the system? John, okay, fair. If that's your only set of tickets, okay, he fundamentally has a right to be bent about the tickets. But do you see the karma aspect? Dude's getting all the tickets he can when the demand is super high to be in that stadium as a season ticket holder. Dude's running a business. That's karma, man. If I'm the Bills, like, if you know what? If that's you, here's what I'm going to say. If that is you and you're in that situation, you know what you shouldn't do? You shouldn't go to the news, okay? You should probably hash that out directly with the Bills because everybody's feeling super bad for you. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And then you get back into the studio and it's like, oh, well, it doesn't really affect him personally. He's got 2 sets of 4 tickets down on the field level where he'll be able to see fine. Like, you handle that privately. You don't go running to the news, man. It's as bad of a look as it is for the Bills. Let's put it that way. They are equally as messed up. Can't do it. Bad look. Awful look. All right, we're out. I'll be back with Grant tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll talk more about the schedule. Sorry about the echo. Yeah. So anyways, we're back. Thank you to everybody who's been listening on Spotify, Apple, the podcast, all of you here on YouTube. Appreciate you so much. On X, appreciate you as well. Looking forward to getting Napes' take on the schedule as well at 7. You know mine. I'll probably go back and crop and post the East Coast after East Coast after East Coast thing. Okay, am I wrong to say it's somewhere in the middle? What if the Bills clap back and say, like, as part of your season ticket, there are teams that have this thing. Thank you, Finchy. There are teams that say, and I actually talked to the Kings about this last season, at the end of the season, really quick, and then we'll get out. There were people that were calling the radio show and telling us that the Kings were telling them if they sold their tickets, season ticket holders, like if they sold their tickets on the secondary market, the Kings would rip their tickets as a season ticket holder. And so I researched it. There are other teams that do that, but it's rarely enforced, number one. And number 2, it's so you're not selling your tickets to the other team's fans. It happens a lot more on the East Coast than the West Coast. And when I talk to a source with the Kings, they're like, there might be some like fine print in there, but no, we have not sent any of those emails out, right? But it's not an uncommon thing, especially in the NFL, to have language like that. So what if the Bills come back and say, yeah, but my man, you're selling those games, so you're technically in violation of the season ticket holder policy, so maybe we should meet in the middle here. How do we go about doing that? He just should not have gone to the news with that. He should not have done that. I'm sorry. Both parties are wrong. That's how we're ending it. And that is my decision right there. That is my final ruling. All right, we'll see you at 7 tonight. Appreciate you. Court's dismissed.